People, T is for tuning. Hello and welcome to the Devil & Sons A to Z list of guitars. Now, if you've been watching from the beginning, you'll know that each episode has a letter at the beginning that comes from a well-known guitar-related brand. Do you know what it is? I'm going to have a video at the end of this series that goes through all of them. But for now, we're going to talk about tuning, different types of tuning, who uses them, and why one is better than another. So before I even talk about tuning, let's talk about how we standardize tuning. So the standard tuning that we use, ISO standard, is 440 Hertz for the A above middle C. So that's middle C, and the A is up here. Now, 440 Hertz is the standard that's used in the UK and the USA for concert pitch. I think the USA's only been using it since the 1920s, but it's been around for quite a long time. There are other variations of that. So in Europe, they used to use 435 Hertz. And still we find that when you have concert pitch, it can vary depending on where you are. And what that means is you might have it tuned like this, or it might be a bit higher. So it makes a slight difference to the tuning. If you were playing along with a record and it wasn't in the standard 440 Hertz and yours was, you'd be slightly out of tune. So sometimes you will find on recordings, for example, people are very slightly different to the standard 440 Hertz. And that might be because of choice. It might be because they were just tuned up by ear to an instrument that was out and it had gone a bit flat or a bit sharp over time. Or it might be something to do with the way it's been recorded and edited and deliberately altered like that. So when we talk about any tunings on a guitar, we're going from the lowest string through to the highest string. Just quickly, this is one of my end-of-the-road guitars. I sell them via my website and I also make them to order. Anyway, so a standard tuning is E, A, D, G, B, E. Standard tuning that we'd expect. When we play an E chord, we have to hold down frets. But it's not called an E tuning, it's just a standard tuning. A tuning that was very popular is the drop D. That's where we tune the lowest string, the E, down to a D. So the great thing about drop D is it's good for power chords, for rock and metal. Something like that. Now, that was drop D. But we could go for a double drop D, which is where we take the top E and we tune that down to D as well. So now 3 of our strings are Ds. We've got the bottom D, we've got the standard A, the standard D, standard G, standard B, and the new dropped D at the top. So with the double drop D, I like the kind of shoegazery sound you get by droning notes. So there are other quite popular tunings you could do from here. You could drop the B down to an A, which I am going to do, but I'm also going to drop the G down to an F sharp. And that would mean my open tuning will be a D chord. So then I've got D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. That means when I play my open strings, I hear a D chord. If I was to bar at the first fret, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, etc. So that's an open chord in D. That did involve tuning a number of strings, but if I went back to standard tuning now, on a standard tuning, to get an E chord, I hold down frets on the 5th, 4th and 3rd string, but the other strings remain open. So if I'm going to tune this now to an open E, those other strings, the 6th, the 2nd and the 1st, stay as they are. But essentially, I've currently got on the 5th string my finger on the 2nd fret. I want that note to be an open note. So that means I need to tune my A, 2 half steps up, so 2 frets up to that note, which is a B. So let's do that. So now I can play an E chord by just holding down 2 frets. So to have it open, I still need to do my 4th and 3rd strings. On my 4th string, I'm holding down the 2nd fret. So instead of it being the open D, I'm holding down the E. So I need to tune up that string 2 frets worth, so 2 half tones, up from D to the E that I'm holding down. So now if I'm playing the E chord, I'm only holding down 1 string, which is the 3rd string. And I'm holding that down at the 1st fret. So instead of the open G, I'm holding down the 1st fret, which is G sharp. So to play it open, I want to tune that G string to the G sharp, which is 1 fret's worth up, or 1 semitone, from G to G sharp. So now my guitar is tuned with the original E. Oh, bit out of tune. The original E. The A is tuned up to B. The D is tuned up to E. The G is tuned up to G sharp. The B remains the same. And the E at the top remains the same. So that means I've got E, B, E, G sharp, B, E. An open E. So now, if I put my bar on the 1st fret, I go up from E to F, F sharp at the 2nd fret, G, A flat, A, etc. Now the open tuning is what Dolly Parton uses, because it means she can keep her nails long, still play chords without having to hold down frets, apart from with 1 single bar chord. I don't know any Dolly Parton tunes. And any fretting she has to do is very minimal. As well as being good for bar chords, you can imagine if I had a slide on there, it's good for playing slide guitar. So most slide guitarists are going to use an open tuning, like an open E. So I've shown you the open E, I've shown you the open D. D means really tuning the strings down quite a bit, whereas the E was tuning them up. Now, I've got another video about string gauges. Essentially though, when you start tuning your guitar down, your strings get slacker. I'm sure you're all aware of that from when you put new strings on and tune them up. That basically means if you're tuning your guitar down like to an open D, you can just about do it with your standard string gauge, but the lower you go, the thicker you need your strings to be so they don't get so slack like this. The thicker strings are better for lower tunings. So if you had, for example, a drop D, a drop C, for example, or tuning down to an open C, which some people might do, it's going to be very hard with your normal strings. So here, for example, is a C. My strings are very floppy. I'm playing with 10s, so they're quite light. Now, if we went back to our double drop D, another alternative that I could have gone to from there is the open G tuning. So unlike the open D tuning, which has lots of Ds in it, the open G doesn't have lots of Gs in it, really. It has 2 though. We've got the D, G, D, G, B, D. Also good for slide guitar tuning. Now, although I'm talking to you about open tunings, I don't really use them that much myself, but after this I'm definitely going to experiment. The open G is one that Keith Richards is really well known for. He wrote quite a few songs in it. Open G had a lot of the Ds in it, the open D notes. Well, an open A has lots of open E notes in it, because if you think about it, if we go from open E to open D, we're tuning up 2 frets. If we go from open G to open A, we're tuning up 2 frets. So essentially an open A is the same tuning as an open G, but moved up 2 frets. So here it is. E, A, E, A, C sharp, E. apparently a classic blues tuning, but again, not one I've used before. Have you used it? Let me know below if you have. And also let me know what your favourite tuning is. Now there are loads of different tunings out there, and shameless plug here, t-shirts on my website, so do go and check them out. It's a good way to support me is a bit of merch, or another good way to support me is commenting, sharing. Do let me know below what tuning you use and what tunings you like in other songs. So for example, Led Zeppelin are a band that are well known for using different tunings in different songs, as in fact is Joni Mitchell. I remember when a friend at uni introduced me to Joni Mitchell and trying to learn some of her songs, getting very confused by the fingering and then realising that actually it was a different tuning. It wasn't something I wanted to try at the time, but I kind of wish I had now. Exploring tunings is a way of exploring creativity. So if you're ever stuck with songwriting or with your general playing, do go change your tuning. Thanks for watching. Please do let me know in the comments below what your favourite tuning is. You could even go over on Facebook or Instagram and tell me. And if you didn't know, at the start of this series, I made a video about drop D tuners. Here it is. You can go and check that out and the rest of the A to Z on my YouTube channel. Till next time, happy strumming.